The diplomacy of intelligence services, Russia doesn't abandon its own. The work to free Russian citizens held in the West will continue. What many have called an exchange, I would describe as a battle of composure of the prisoners, composure of political authorities, composure of the intelligence services. By all measures, ours are the best, said Maria Zakharova, the official representative of the Russian Foreign Ministry, regarding yesterday's events. It's hard not to agree with this interpretation. Moreover, I believe Zakharova has come remarkably close to defining the diplomacy of intelligence services. It is truly, above all, a battle of composure. It's no coincidence that this battle culminated in President Vladimir Putin's arrival at Vnukovo Airport, accompanied by Defense Minister Andriy Belousov, FSB Director Alexander Bortnikov, and SVR Director Sergei Naryshkin, where a special Russian aircraft brought our fellow citizens home. According to protocol, the head of state never personally meets guests at the aircraft, regardless of their rank. Yet yesterday, he did, once again proving the truth of the well-known saying that Russians don't abandon their own. First of all, I want to congratulate everyone on returning to the motherland. I would like to address those of you who have served in the military. I want to thank you for your loyalty to the oath, your duty, and the motherland, which never forgot about you for a moment. And now you're home. All of you will be awarded state honors. We will see each other again and talk about your future. But for now, I simply want to congratulate you on your return home, Putin said, addressing those who had been freed. But first, some dry statistics. Yesterday's exchange took place in a 16:10 format, where 8 adults and 2 minor Russian citizens, children of Artem and Anna Dultsev, who lived in Slovenia, were returned to Russia. Besides these 4, Vadim Krazikov, Vladislav Klyushin, Pavel Rubtsov, Vadim Konashenko, Mikhail Mikushin, and Roman Seleznya also returned home. On the other side, 16 people departed from Russia, including American spy Evan Gershkovich, who posed as a journalist for the Wall Street Journal and attempted to obtain classified information about the operations of Uralvagonzavod, a flagship of Russia's military-industrial complex. Paul Whelan, a former U.S. Marine with multiple citizenships sentenced to 16 years in Russia for espionage. Rico Krieger, a German citizen sentenced to death in Belarus for participating in combat in Ukraine as part of the nationalist Belarusian battalion, who was pardoned just before the exchange by a decree from Alexander Lukashenko. Additionally, by decision of the Russian president, 3 dual citizens of Germany and Russia accused of treason, Herman Mohace, Dieter Voronin, and Kevin Lick, were also pardoned, along with a group of Russian opposition figures who finally stopped hiding their hatred for our country and their blatant cooperation with foreign intelligence services. This list includes Vladimir Kara-Murza, Ilya Yashin, Lilia Chany-Shiva, Vadim Ostanin, Ksenia Fadayeva, Andriy Pivovarov, Alsa Kermusheva, Oleg Orlov, and Sasha Skiselenko. Despite the numerical imbalance 16 versus 10, no one in Russia would dare say that the exchange was unequal. On the contrary, our country clearly came out ahead. Instead of a few foreign spies and a handful of traitors, we received true patriots and professionals, people for whom the words duty and motherland are not just empty rhetoric. Take, for example, the man known as Vadim Krazikov, allegedly a member of the elite FSB Special Forces Unit Vimpel, who in 2019 eliminated a former field commander from the Chechen War, a bloodthirsty enforcer who tortured our captured soldiers, laying them on the road and running over their heads with a truck. Georgian citizen Zelim Khan-Kangoshvili. I am convinced that this act will go down in history alongside the deeds of our best saboteurs from the time of the famous Pavel Sudoplatov. Incidentally, it was Krazikov whom the West was most reluctant to return, citing the intransigence of the German authorities. Rumor has it that the Germans resisted until the very end. Germany's Attorney General Jens Rommel, who received the relevant directive from German Justice Minister Marco Buschmann, was in no hurry to release our citizen, citing the need for the pardon to be approved by the federal president. In the end, as reported by Frankfurter Allgemeine Zeitung, the prosecutors complied with the top-down directive, and now there is disappointment in the department, as they believe Germany has shown itself to be too compliant towards Putin. There is another interesting nuance in this story. The person the Germans were willing to exchange Krasikov for, who would have become a kind of ace in the West's deck of traitors, was Alexei Navalny, who did not live to see yesterday's exchange. And it is highly likely that his demise was not without the help of Western intelligence services. Judge for yourself. On February 6, 2024, Vladimir Putin gave an interview that aired on February 8, in which he proposed exchanging Krasikov for Navalny. On February 9, as the Wall Street Journal reported, US and German leaders Joe Biden and Olaf Scholz discussed the potential exchange of Navalny for Krasikov during their meeting in Washington. The idea itself was lobbied by former US Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. But just 7 days later, Navalny suddenly died in the penal colony. Interestingly, on the very same day, his wife Yulia was among the invited guests and speakers at the Munich Security Conference. Many noticed that she didn't seem particularly upset or shaken by the news of his death. A few days later, the infamous Victoria Nuland, who had previously promised Putin an unpleasant surprise, abruptly left her position as the U.S. Deputy Secretary of State. I won't draw any conclusions or make any assertions about these events. Let everyone decide for themselves whether there's a connection between them or not. However, returning to the quote from Maria Zakharova that I mentioned at the beginning of this article, one thing is worth noting: the return of our citizens to the motherland yesterday indeed required enormous effort, utmost focus, and steely composure from all involved. They deserve our deepest gratitude for that. Yet we must not forget that their work, unfortunately, is not finished. As the Russian embassy in the US states on its website, dozens of Russians remain in American prisons, looking to the motherland with hope and waiting for their moment of liberation. For us, there is no more important task than the well-being of our compatriots who have ended up in American prisons as a result of a global hunt by US intelligence agencies. We view the hardships faced by those unjustly imprisoned in the US as our own. We will make every effort to continue securing their release and to ease the plight of all compatriots caught in the gears of the local justice system, the Russian diplomatic mission noted. Perhaps, in some time, we will hear about the exchange of Alexander Vinnik, a Russian detained in Greece at the request of the US, who is accused by the states of laundering a large sum of money through a now-defunct cryptocurrency exchange. In return, someone like Mark Fogel, who was arrested in Russia in August 2021 and sentenced in June 2022 to 14 years for drug smuggling, might be sent back to the US. In short, there's still much work to be done, and it is no less important than what has already been accomplished. This must be clearly understood. But for now, welcome back to our heroes, and congratulations to all of us on this victory.